The more I learn to love myself, my relationship with my mother changes. Not for the worse, not for the better, but it's just different. I used to think it was worse, but now that I have understood it, now that I've learned to navigate it, I've realized that it's just different. I didn't know that my self-love journey would also come with grief. Grieving the death of some of the relationships that I valued, my expectations about those relationships. As I grow, some of my relationships cannot stay the same. And my relationship with my mother has been a bit difficult to navigate this change. I've been working on this for a while. I've been maneuvering this for a while. With each new cycle, I learn more and more that helps me get through it. But as I observe the women in my family, I realize that I am actively breaking a generational curse by choosing to love myself. The women in my lineage, my grandma, my mother, they have sacrificed themselves for men, not really putting themselves first, not putting their well-being first, not pouring a lot of attention into themselves. And it caused them to have toxic patterns. I hate to say it like that, but it caused them to have toxic patterns. And for a while, I would like try to talk to them and see if I could assist them on their journey, just help them pour more love into themselves. But I realized that they're not going to change. They're not going to change. And what really needs to change is me. I used to be very resentful about how my relationships were going, but I realized because it is a generational curse per se, instead of being resentful, I just have to be the one to stop it. I have to be the one to choose differently for myself. This is why I advocate so much for pouring into yourself, loving yourself, because you value yourself and you understand that you are valuable. You do what is in alignment with the love that you have for yourself. You do what is in alignment with your wellness. You do whatever is going to fill your cup and replenish you. When you don't do that, when you don't pour into yourself, you deplete yourself and you take that out on other people. When you're depleted, it's almost impossible to pour into your child or your loved ones. So it is essential for you to pour into yourself in order to be there for other people. I've realized that the lack of self-love with the mothers in my family has caused tension between the mothers and the daughters. Mother and daughter relationships, they tend to be difficult. I know that it's different from mother and son relationships. I'm not well versed in why the mother and daughter relationships can be difficult, but they are. And if the mother doesn't have self-love, then they're going to take that out on the daughter in various different ways, like the spirit of competition and the spirit of jealousy. Women, when they tend to not pour into themselves and not love themselves, they can be narcissistic as they get older. And that is a trend that I see in my family in the past 2 generations that I am aware of. At the core, we all just want to see our parents do well, especially if you yourself is learning more and you're tapping more into your self-love. When you see your parent not doing that, you just want the best for them. When you see that they don't want the best for themselves, it can be a bit saddening, disappointing. So I was navigating those emotions for a while, but I had to realize that my mother is human and she is living her own life separate from me. I have nothing to do with that. I'm practicing being non-judgmental and more compassionate. At the beginning of my journey, I was so resentful, I was so annoyed, I was so judgmental, I thought very negatively, and my emotions would just be up and down. How I'm practicing being non-judgmental right now is picturing the people in my life as their child self, their younger self. So it gives them a bit of innocence in my eyes. I got this exercise from a book that I'm reading. I do that because everyone has gone through something in life that causes them to be the way that they are. And that helps me have compassion for people in my life that, trigger me, that hurt me, etc. So when I find myself in those judgmental thoughts or that negative energy, I go back to that exercise where I practice just either seeing them as their younger self and reminding myself that they are this way because of something, or I think about just sending them love and light. And sometimes I just stop those thoughts altogether, but that has been helping me navigate this experience. But I can't gaslight myself. I can't gaslight myself into not feeling my emotions, ignoring my emotions. Once I started to learn about non-judgment and compassion, like really diving deeper into that, I kind of went from one extreme of being totally negative to another extreme of trying to be so non-judgmental and ignoring how I was feeling. I realized I needed a middle ground. The middle ground was working on having compassion and being non-judgmental, but also honoring how I'm feeling, honoring the fact that I am a bit heartbroken. My relationships with my mother, my father, and some people in my life has been changing. I am not being nurtured as I would like. I don't feel safe. I don't feel protected. I don't feel valued from the people that I want it from the most. You know, that's not to say that I'm not getting that at all, but it's not what I thought it would be. And that's a bit heartbreaking for me. I'm definitely going through feeling those emotions still. Allowing myself to feel those emotions definitely helps so that I can take the necessary precautions. Removing myself is essential, especially because it'll give me space and time to heal so that I can be a better person, to have a better relationship with my mother. All these experiences are teachers to me. I actually thank God for these moments, because these lessons, because they help me become a better container for peace, for happiness, for joy. I learn how to navigate difficult situations with more peace, with more enlightenment, with more clarity. And that also helps me not be so judgmental and negative about my situation as well. But at the end of the day, I love my mother. I'm working on me so that I can nurture my mother and pour into my mother without negativity, without judgment, and just being compassionate. We kind of have to release our expectations, accept the relationships for what they are, and just appreciate them for what they are. Appreciate them for what they provide, for the lessons that they taught us. I definitely know for sure the way that my mother raised me helped me be the woman that I am today, because I see the contrast between how other people were raised and how that affected them and the paths that they're on now. So I'm definitely thankful. You know, I wish it was different in a sense, but it is what it is. And I bought my mom some flowers, the flowers that you see. I'm going to do my best to nurture my mother and learn about her as much as I can. You know, I'm not going to deplete myself or overextend, but I'm going to do better at just being a source of love. And the main thing that's helping me navigate is just remembering that she's living her own life and just detaching myself from her life a bit. That even means detaching myself from my siblings a bit until they get a bit older, when they can make their own decisions for me to help them. But yeah, that is all, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you made it this far. And I would love to hear about your stories with your mother. So let me know if you relate in the comments. All right, guys. Bye.